Sorry. Make sure you select your screen.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the Wundertalks 26. It's Friday again, and you should learn something before the weekend. And we have some interesting talks for you. Our first speaker comes from our Helsinki office and will tell us how we can avoid to send out spam from our dev environments. And this is especially important if you have some real production data on your machine. I can tell you because I had some problems with that myself a while ago. Welcome, Mario.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Welcome.
Yeah, so...
And, the second talk comes from a man who I actually don't need to introduce. We would not have any Wundertalks without him. He's always pushing us forward to share our knowledge with others, and has some great news for people who plan to give a talk at the DrupalCon Amsterdam. Welcome, Florian Lorétan.
Hello.
As always, if someone wants to ask some questions, post it in the Skype channel, and we will try to move it forward to the speakers. And I already know that we have quite some ice hockey fans in the Wundertalk channel, and I don't know if you guys know that it's Switzerland against Finland tonight. So maybe before we start, you can give us a tip, Mario. What do you think that we will have? What do you think will be the score from Finland against Swiss?
Well, I think I am obliged by my contract to say that Finland will definitely win. I'm sorry, but there's no way around that.
All right. And Florian, what are you saying?
Well, I think Switzerland will definitely win.
And have you some numbers for us?
Probably something like 3-2.
Okay.
Swiss people like to be moderate when winning.
All right. Okay. So we will see who guesses better tonight, and start now with our first talk. Mario, it's your turn. You're on.
Okay. I think my screen is already shared, so I will just go ahead and start the presentation. I hope you can see the slides. And I assume that you can. All right, so this talk will be about a tool that we have started using here in the Helsinki office to solve a very specific issue. So the issue is with email that gets generated by our site. Basically, our type of sites built with Drupal can generate emails for various different reasons. So, for example, for user activation, password reminders, web forms, which we normally have quite many, and then also editorial workflows, such as when a user creates a new node, then some site editor needs to be notified, and so on. And then also commerce events, when somebody buys something or a new product is available, newsletters. So there's a lot of reasons why our site might generate emails. And all of this is really fine when the site is in production. Actually, we want to send out these emails and the users to get them. But when we are actually developing the site initially, or if it's in a staging environment, or if we are doing some continuous development on the site, and we are working on that locally, we don't want we don't want anybody to get the actual emails, but also we want to be able to debug the messages that would have been sent. This is especially important, so it's important from a development point of view for the debugging, but it's also important for the customer relations and also from the PR point of view, because we all know we are developers, and then if you have been struggling for a complete day with a web form, you might end up writing this type of submission. So after a while, some fun word creeps into variables, and then somebody somewhere gets a really angry call from the from the client. So this is not an old problem, and it has been solved in many ways. Inside the Drupal world, one possibility would be to use some module that addresses this. There are quite many. I found a couple, just really Googling for 2 minutes. For example, the mail redirect module, the reroute email module. They can do basically, they can prevent your site to actually sending emails, and instead you can redirect everything to one email address, for example. You can do the same with Devil module and the mail system and so on. The problem that I see with this kind of solutions is that if you're a lazy developer, or if your workflow tells you to do that, if you just take a database production dump and you don't sanitize it and you put it in your local environment, then you also have to make sure that you have those modules enabled and configured and so on. So there's still a possibility for some runaway email to get to the actual users. A better approach, in my opinion, is to act on the actual environment that you are working on, especially now that we do most of our development, or at least some of us, in virtual machines that we run locally through Vagrant or other means. This link that I have here is about a blog post that Janne from Finland wrote some months ago. And the trick there was to create a PHP script that basically dumps all the messages that it would send out to a folder in the form of text files. Sorry, which is a good way, but it's not that user friendly. And then it doesn't support HTML messages, for example. Then you could also act directly on the MTA, so the mail transport agent, such as postfix and stuff like that. You can configure it to basically send, again, everything to the same message, but it's not that straightforward, as always, when you start touching mail transport agents, at least in my experience. So, in comes Mailcatcher. Mailcatcher is yet another way of solving the same issue. It's a Ruby program, so it is easily installable with Gem. And basically, to set it up with PHP, you just need to add this line to your php.ini file somewhere. And the way that it works is that it has two paths, basically, as an SMTP daemon that runs on the server and accepts the outgoing messages. And then it gives you a web interface to read the messages that would have been sent out. And it looks quite nice in doing that. Okay, so that's all the spoken part about this Mailcatcher tool. Now let's go and have a small demo about it. We don't need Keynote anymore. Okay, so this is a small site I have set up yesterday using our Ansible reference repository, which also includes Mailcatcher in one of the latest versions. And basically, this is a super basic site. So we can go, and I have enabled here the contact form, for example. But maybe let's do it with this one, where we are actually an anonymous user. Okay, so Mario. Okay. Okay, and then we send the message. Drupal tells us that the message has been sent, but under normal condition, this message would have been sent out, or it would not have been sent out, and then we have no way of debugging that. What we can do, since we have Mailcatcher, is that we take the same IP or the same address, and we go to the 1080 port. Okay, and this is the Mailcatcher interface. It's basically a small email client. It does the same job. And here we can see that we have sent this one message, and this is the HTML version, so we get the standard Drupal contact formatting. So these are links. Then we can see the plain text version with the links as a footnote. We can have a look at the source if you're into that sort of thing. And we can also run some remote analysis, but this never actually worked, at least in my experience, so we can ignore that. Something useful is that if we, so this does a quite okay job in showing you the email message there. You have all the data, but you can also decide to, especially for HTML stuff, to actually read that in your own email client. So you can download the message in this EML format. If you click on that, it will open your email program, and then you can see the message in a more realistic environment. So this is really easy. Okay. Well, now that we have done that, we can simulate the fact that we are now a developer and we have taken this site and put it in our local environment, and now the customer told us that there's a problem with node creation. So first thing we do, we go and we create a new node, a new page. And then we write a body message there, and we hit save. And then we wait, and we start wondering. Then our pulse goes up, and then we get this message. Great, a gazillion editors have been notified. And now the scary part starts, because now we wonder whether we actually have sent this email to anybody. And then we can go to the, we find out that we have rules installed, and of course we have this rule here that send mail when node is created. So, and this actually sends mail to all users of the role editor. Then we are taken by the panic. We go here and we see that we have 20 site editors. So this could be a real issue, but of course, if we go to Mailcatcher, we should see that all those images, all those messages were actually generated, and they contain what we want them to contain. So the text that we have put into rules, and they actually work, and they are sent to these users that I have generated with devil generate. Okay, so this is basically the basic functionality that you get if you have Mailcatcher in your environment. And it's really useful for this kind of manual testing. But for example, in the Ruutu project here in Finland, it has been also used as part of automated testing because it has an API. But I wasn't involved in that implementation. Okay, so how do you install this thing, and how do you get it running? Basically, well, if you use this Ansible ref, then you get it somehow for free. But the installation is quite straightforward. I can show you here. Well, I don't know if you're familiar with Ansible, but anyway, this is quite readable. Basically, you need to install a gem called Tilt, and then you install the Mailcatcher gem, and then you have to tell it that it needs to accept a connection from any source, otherwise it's just from localhost, and we have Vagrant, so we don't want that. And then you change that one setting to php.ini, saying that everything needs to be rerouted through Mailcatcher. And then you edit to make sure that this is run every time that you start the server. It be added to RC local, which is maybe blasphemy, I don't know, but it really works. So yeah, this is about it, and I think that it solves this one issue in quite a good way. So I can stop sharing my screen and going back to my face. So if you have any question, we can discuss it later maybe.
So yes, as far as I can see, we have no questions so far, but feel free to post it to the Wundercard section. So let me, Mario, can you mute your microphone? Okay, so what is next? Yeah, we have now this great talk from Florian, and he will tell us something about the upcoming DrupalCon Amsterdam. Florian, it's your turn.
Okay, can you see my screen? I think so. Okay, so DrupalCon Amsterdam. This is coming up in September, end of September this year. So, you know, DrupalCon, most of you have probably been to DrupalCon before. If you haven't, it's a great and very exciting event. And this year, again, we're going to be sponsoring, we're going to be diamond sponsors. And as such, we have a good amount of activities that are planned. Lots of really cool stuff. Roel Denista is going to be he is the lead on this project. He will be probably giving a Wunder talk about all the plans that we have. But one of these plans is about presentations. The presentations that we want to give, or more specifically, that people who work for Wundertalks want to give. And this is something that I've learned from being a track chair for many years. When it comes to sessions, it doesn't really matter who works where. It's really about the individuals. And what we want to do is we don't want to take over the session schedule. This is not possible. And well, the track chairs definitely do not pick everyone from the same company. But it's really about the individuals. It's about the people. It's about you, the people who give presentations. And I think this is a very honest way to promote the company. It is just, we want to promote the individuals, and it just happened that the individuals work for a great company. And I think this is, well, without all the great people who work for Wundertalks, Wundertalks wouldn't exist at all. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we support the people that want to give a presentation to really give the best presentations. Because knowing something about a topic is one thing, but also having the time and the resources to prepare a good presentation, this is really what makes a difference. So we want to have the resources available. This is something that was discussed with the board. This is something that all the managing directors are also involved in. So this is not just, hey, find some time to work on a presentation, but we are actually going to have time dedicated for these presentations. So this is DrupalCon Amsterdam, end of September, but let's work backwards in time. So what we're going to do is, sometimes in July or in August, we're going to fly all the people who have an accepted session to one place, and then we're going to do a workshop on giving fantastic presentations. So pretty much what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to turn all the speakers into Steve Parks. We're also going to have, during the time, many opportunities for you to give a test run of your presentation during a Wundertalk, so that you can get practice, you can get feedback on your presentation. Feedback is really the best thing that can happen to you, and we want to make sure that nobody is forced to prepare their slide at the last minute. There's nothing wrong with doing final adjustments at the last minute, but you really want to make sure that these are just adjustments and these are not the creation of a concept. But before then, the sessions need to be accepted, and they need to be submitted before they get accepted. And the important deadline here is June 13th. This is 4 weeks from now. and this is the deadline. Midnight, the same time zone as Amsterdam. Nothing goes after that. And we want to make sure that we have a good amount of presentations that are submitted, and we want to also make sure that these submissions have a high quality, because it makes a difference whether the session gets accepted or not. And so what we have as a plan is concrete plan. It's not just let's just submit a lot of sessions whenever we have time. June 6th, 1 week before the deadline, 3 weeks from today, we're going to set some time aside. So the 2 hours before the Wundertalks, we're going to set some time aside so that anyone who wants to do a session proposal for DrupalCon has the time to work out on their proposal. So we're going to fine-tune the wording, what we want to do, what we want to communicate, really make sure that we have a proposal that's something that works. And then during the Wundertalk, what we're going to do, we're going to have a series of kind of sales pitches where everyone gets to share their topic in 2 minutes. So you try to sell why this topic is important, why you should be the one talking about it. This is pretty much the process that happens informally in the session proposal process. The difference is that when you submit a session, you either get accepted or you don't get accepted, but nobody tells you why it doesn't get accepted. And what we're going to try to do here is we're going to make these pitches, and we're also going to gather feedback from colleagues, from other proposers, also other colleagues. And we really want to make sure that we're going to try to poke holes into these proposals, to ask the right questions, ask the critical questions, so that in the end we get a lot more presentations, a lot more sessions that are accepted. Before then, we have 3 weeks, and I have a list of tasks that we need to work on. This is something that you might, well, that everyone does in their own time whenever that works. And the most important task is to think about topics, think about ideas. This might happen in the shower, this might happen when you're having a conversation somewhere, it might happen on the way to work. It doesn't really matter. So this is why we're not really setting time aside for that. Ideas, well, you can't really predict when ideas are going to come. But think about this. Think about what would you want to share. What do you have to share? And most importantly, talk about it. Talk about it with coworkers. Try to formulate your ideas in a way that makes them interesting. Also, one thing that I would very strongly recommend is that to work with someone else. So if you have a colleague that you like to work with, well, ask them if they would be willing to give a presentation together. Could be someone from the same office, could be someone who has a very good knowledge of the topic, or maybe someone who has very good presentation skills and might not know that much about the topic. So having different skills within a presentation team is something that's really helpful. And it's also great to have someone as a sounding board. What's also possible, you could have a presentation partner that is in our office, or even maybe in a different company. We have a partnership with Commerce Guys, for example. So if someone wants to showcase a great way to do something with Drupal Commerce, and you want to partner with one of their people, this is definitely possible. So definitely think of people that you could work with, because working with someone, it's great. It gives you a sounding board for all of your ideas. It makes it a lot easier to build some consistent and interesting conversations and interesting ideas for how you want to structure a presentation. Finally, there are no requirements for participation. So anyone from this company who wants to give a presentation we are going to support you. We are going to give you the time to work on a proposal, and if it gets accepted, we will definitely make sure that you have all the time required and all the support that is required to really give a fantastic presentation. And in the end, it doesn't matter if you're an expert or if you have a lot of experience. The thing that really matters is that you talk about something that you're passionate about. And giving a presentation is also a great way to learn about the topic. So of course you need to make sure that you have something to communicate, you have value to give, but passion is really the key to everything. We, of course, have some logistics behind this. We also have Annick Dams, who is from the DrupalCon core organizing team on our side, and she will be helping me with all the scheduling stuff. But we will be sending you reminders. We will be hunting you down to make sure that you participate. But of course, we cannot force you to think. We cannot force you to be motivated and to think about what do you have to share. And I'm sure you all have something to share. And I think it would be great to have as many DrupalCon session proposals as possible. And it's a fantastic experience. I've done it multiple times. It's great for visibility. It's great for the company, but it's also great for you as an individual. And it's something that can really be a big boost for your career. So I hope that as many of you as possible will participate. Of course, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me or ask Annick, and we would be very happy to answer any of the questions that you might have. So, thank you.
Oops.
Okay.
Thank you, Florian. Let's see if we already have some questions. Not in the Wundertalk channel, so then we are through with this Wundertalks, I think. Next Friday we have Wundertalks 27, and as always we ask you to send us your talk suggestions if you have something to share, and we will schedule it for one of the next Fridays. Any famous last words from my fellow speakers? Florian, Mario?
May the best team win in ice hockey then.
All right. Then, everybody, thanks for watching and have a great weekend. See you on one of the next Fridays. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.